Okay, folks, here we go. Welcome to the first episode of Live LitRPG. We're going to be building a story together, which is always fun. I know some people may not have as much practice in this as I do, and even though I'm going to make a few mistakes here, so bear with me. And just remember, the whole purpose is to enjoy yourself and sort of flex those creative muscles. So, the first thing I want to point out is the layout. I'm just going to go over a few things. I'm going to put some music on as well. Hopefully everybody enjoys a little bit of instrumental metal. But essentially what we're going to go over here is the windows that I have. I have a drafting window here. This is where most of the composition is going to take place. It's full screen. I put it into dark mode so that it's easier to see. I also have an NPC generator handy, so for those of you who aren't familiar, this is what we're going to use to randomly generate some of the characters, and then we'll play around with what we end up getting. Finally, I have a people, places, and plot window here, and so anything that's important, we're really just going to stick in here just for our own reference, make things a little bit easier. Those are the primary windows that I have here as well. You'll also note down at the bottom there's a dice roller. That's going to be super fun. Essentially, we're going to use that to randomize plot points, some of the fight scenes that may happen, and we'll play around with the results and see what happens. So, I'm not sure how many of you participated in the arrays that we had set up on Facebook, but I actually got 17 responses from you, and that's excellent. So what we're going to do first to kick off the whole thing is I'm actually going to roll a 17-sided die, which of course is impossible, but we can do it with this program. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and whichever number comes up, I'm going to quickly check the Facebook thread, and we're going to see whose suggestion came up. So let's go ahead and do that. 17-sided die. Suggestion number 3. So I'm just going to pop over, take a look, and see who that was. So congratulations to Tash. I'm going to cut and paste her suggestion into the drafting window, and we'll work from there. From a distance, a piercing cry fills the air as all the birds in the trees seem to quiet all at once. And I just want to make sure everybody is able to see the chat there as well, so if you can, just give me a shout, and if not, we'll just proceed regardless. Just wanted to make sure that everybody can actually see. So if you're actually watching, make sure you toss something in the chat. We'll see if the chat window is working or if I need to adjust something, but I'll proceed from here. Pretty good prompt. From a distance, a piercing cry fills the air as all the birds in the trees seem to quiet all at once. So we're in a forest. We're going to name the protagonist. I'm going to start with Amos. Amos looked around, searching the canopy for a clue as to what might be causing the dread. Quiet. Silence. Golden brown leaves. Swayed. A gentle breeze. A few branches brushed up against one another. Eager fingers. Let's learn a little bit more about Amos here. So we don't really have an idea of what Amos might be like, but I'm looking for a little bit of input. What sort of fella is Amos? We're going to build towards a fantasy setting. So I'm going to produce another array, and if you have any ideas, make sure you suggest them in the chat box. We're going to say that Amos could be one. He is a, let's say, a warrior type. He's just learning his trade. Or is Amos more of a scholar? A wizard. Perhaps he's in the forest looking for materials. as in a potion materials, spell materials, things of this nature. 3. And perhaps Amos is... He's a traveling performer. He's a bard. He's decided to cut through the forest in order to make his next gig in a nearby village. Maybe he was out partying too late. Maybe he's overstayed his welcome in his last venue. But nonetheless, perhaps that's an option for Amos. 4. Amos could be a knight errant. Looking for somebody to save. A little bit cliche, but sometimes you gotta roll with that. It's fantasy, right? Nothing in chat. 5. Let's say that Amos could be... he's a druid. Seeking harmony and a connection to nature. You might find it here with everything going still. And 6, we're going to just do 6 here, and we're going to roll to see what happens. And finally, let's just say that perhaps he could be a landlocked pirate. Far from his crew. Perhaps he was actually marooned on... It could actually, let's just say he was marooned on this island. That's quite the twist. So if we roll 6, we're going to have to write ourselves out of a corner pretty hard there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is switch back over to our dice rolling program. And I'm going to roll that 1d6 and see what happens, folks. And whichever way we roll is the way Amos turns out. Okay, so Amos is a pirate. We are going to have to write ourselves out of that corner that I just suggested. That's going to be very interesting. Look here. So 6 it is. Yeah, sweating, alone, and completely out of his elements. Amos looked around with panic in his eyes. He pressed through thick and uneven brush using calloused hands to move. No, I don't want to use branches again. To move the foliage aside. It was hot, hard work. And we're going to say it's noon, even though the noonday sun couldn't penetrate the canopy above. After a few moments, he heard the beginnings of birdsong returning. So we're going to bring that back in a bit here, but we're just going to say that for now he's beginning to hear the birdsong again. Trees began, well, let's just say, tree trunks began to become more sparse as he pressed on. And before he knew it, he had emerged into a meadow. And what? Okay, we'll just leave it there for now. I'm going to quickly take a moment to go over to our NPC generator. We're going to generate some statistics for Amos. This is kind of the fun part. For those of you who are unfamiliar with whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or those choose your own adventure books in that vein. Statistics in LitRPG are very important. I'll try not to drag them in too frequently. We'll just use them as sort of a guideline because of course this is meant to be more fun and casual than anything else. Amos is a male. Amos is human. We have to pick a class that is the closest to what he might be. And as a pirate, I'm going to actually give Amos... We'll start with a fighter, and we're going to say he's level 1 to begin with. We're going to skip all of the fancy text here. We'll just take his statistics raw. We can see here that Amos has a strength of 12, so +1, so he's a little bit stronger than average. We can see that he has a dexterity score or an agility score of 13, also +1, a little bit faster than average. He has a constitution score of 13 as well. He's a little bit more hardy, more resilient, more stalwart than average. His intelligence is a 9, a -1, so Amos is perhaps not the smartest character, but nonetheless far from a fool perhaps. His wisdom score is 11. It's a base average, and his charisma score, his highest score, is 14 +2, which means he is quite the talker. So we have a very persuasive and fairly competent warrior here. We'll skip the Theobald Landon, though. I might steal Landon for Amos's last name, but we'll see when we get there. Okay. Now, the next question is, what does Amos encounter in the meadow? I'm going to quickly check chat. And let me know if anybody's having trouble there. And you can go ahead and send me a private message. Just going to double check for chats. Okay. Oh, I can see a couple of people here. Excellent. So, yeah, I can see the chats. And you guys go ahead, and what I'm going to do now is we're going to ask for a couple of pieces of input as to what we find in the meadow. I'm going to give 1 or 2 prompts, and whoever would like to sort of chip in with their own prompts as to what we might find. I'm looking for 6, so we'll go with that and see how we do. My first prompt is right in the middle of the meadow, we'll say a circle of, no, sorry, not a circle. A pair of goblins, actually, cooking an unknown but pungent meat over a flame. 2. Any suggestions? A pot of bile? Okay, yeah. A pot of bile. I guess we'll say seemingly unattended. 3. And I'll just pause for a sec if you guys want to get anything in there. In the meantime, I'll think of another item. Oh, why don't we have... a horse and a cloaked rider. Very mysterious. Perhaps the source of our quietened birds earlier. Okay, right, a bugbear playing with his cub. Excellent. See, this is half the fun, coming up with all of this, these possibilities. Oh, welcome Chris, welcome to the chat. We got Dave, we got Troy, we got Lindsay, and fantastic, we got Chris. Yeah, any other suggestions, guys? I'm just gonna pad these out. Ah, a wounded woman. Lying prone. And I'll just leave 1 more spot open. See if anybody has any clues that they'd like to proffer up. If not, I will say a pile of dusty tomes, looking a bit ripe, being exposed to the elements. Oh no, we got a couple more suggestions there, so I'm actually gonna take mine out there. I'm gonna take 2 of mine out, And we're going to put some of those in. So that's 6, folks. Fantastic. So 1, a pair of goblins cooking an unknown but pungent meat over a flame. 2, a pot of bile, seemingly unattended. 3, a giant with a large sack, and he's a wandering merchant, of course. 4, a bugbear playing with his cub. 5, a wounded woman lying prone. 6, a ring of mushroom with fairies above it. Let's hop on over to that dice roller. Drum roll, please. 5, a wounded woman lying prone. That's it. See, it's rigged. It's rigged just to give me, to make my suggestions go through. He'd merge into a meadow. Right. Barely believing his eyes, wondering if it might be fatigue, simple fatigue. Amos spied what looked to be a wounded woman in the center of... Center? Oh, I think it's okay. Of the thicket. Her face turned away from him, and her chestnut brown hair spilling about her shoulders. This is interesting. This is a potential for a companion, so whenever this happens, I think it's always good to do another bit of a break and determine what we want to do with this character. So I guess what I'll do here is I'm going to pause and we can actually take a couple suggestions as to her comportment. What sort of individual is this? So I want, in terms of suggestions, a class would be interesting, or like a profession, what they kind of look like, a basic look. So if anybody has suggestions on that front, I'll start populating another prompt here. I will say, for example, that this character is tall, slender, elven, and has a bow laid broken beside her. So that's a good start. I'm gonna do a little gander at the witch. Oh, that's looks like I'm commenting in the chat. Okay. Obviously as a bear, but they're funny. So Viking warrior. One leg. Okay, all right. I'll go with that. We'll put that in. Viking warrior. We'll suss that a bit more if we go in that direction. Ranger with a blue hat. Green boots. Yeah, we'll combine the the one leg. That's awesome. We have quite a few suggestions there. I'm gonna go with stocky, brutish, physically formidable. Yet an air of magic. And we'll take a 6th suggestion, guys. Ah, nice. Nice. Okay. We got Chris in there. Her clothing was rich, but seemed to be a bit threadbare. Dirt caked the lower hem. Perfect. So we have our 6 choices. 1, tall, slender elven, and has a bow laid, like a broken bow, laid beside her. 2, Viking warrior, short and sweet, just the way I like it. 3, ranger with a blue hat and green boots, classy, very fashionable. 4, a one-legged woman with a peg leg. 5, stocky, brutish, physically formidable, yet an air of magic. 6, her clothing was rich but seemed to be a bit threadbare. Dirt caked the lower hem. Very good. We're gonna hop on over to our magical dice machine. We're gonna reset it all, and here we go. Number 1. Tall, slender elven has a bow laid broken beside her. Once again, thanks for the suggestions. I'm convinced this is rigged. It's going to keep giving me the ones that I'm going to put in there. Amos, timidly, which is surprising for a warrior of his stature, approached the fallen woman. And as he neared, you could see that that she appeared to have the features of an elf, harboring. What are you harboring? I gotta get away from that American spelling. I'm too used to doing that through AP style. Harboring no ill will towards the elder races. Amos found himself somewhat in awe at finding one of their kind in such a place as this. And that may be a hint, sort of foreshadowing towards the type of island that Amos has found himself marooned on, because as we all know, pirates generally don't care to leave their compatriots in lush, safe places. So that may be a bit of foreshadowing, I suppose, as to what might happen next. Seeing a broken bow made of yew next to her, Amos assumed that this elven woman was something of a warrior, and that she'd been taken by surprise. The strange thing, however, at least in his mind, is that she appeared to be in on the scar, relatively unharmed. No wounds were apparent on her figure. Her armor, with the U again, though somewhat weathered and caked with grime, showed no sign of damage. Kneeling beside her, Amos reached out one hand and laid it upon her shoulder, shaking her gently. A weak moan emerged from between her lips, and the birdsong that had slowly begun to return to the woods intensified. Her eyelashes fluttered, and she eventually managed to regain consciousness. Alright, so we're going to pause there. It's a good time for another array. I'm going to take suggestions now at this point for names, folks. So if you have a name for this character, I would love to hear it. You go right ahead and throw it at me and we'll see what we have. And if we don't, that's fine too, but I'll just pause there for a second and we'll think of some names. Stereotypically elven, that's totally fine. It could be something a little bit strange or oddball. I do reserve the right to pick out any names that are perhaps a little too inappropriate if that does show up, but, you know, I trust you guys. I trust you more than I trust myself in this regard. Aurelia, that's a good name. It's pretty. Oh, perfect. We got a lot of good ones. So we've got Aurelia there. Pop that in. 1, 2, 3, 4. I really appreciate you guys helping me with this. It's a lot of fun. 6. Almost like playing D&D in and of itself. I really, and I like that we can kind of see the process, because I'm going to leave those prompts in the raw story for now, and when we move it out for publishing, public-facing stuff, we'll probably remove it, but it's fun to see, you know, the process the whole way through. Elbendrell, that's cool, I like it. It has almost a Tolkien-esque flavor to it. Elbendrell. 3. Seraphina. I know what you meant. Ionia. Ionia, I like it. Zelina, also a cool name. Zelina Vega, WWE style. And Kaihana. That sounds pretty martial to me. Kaihana. So, Aurelia, Elbendrell, Seraphina, Ionia, Zelina, Kaihana. All very cool names. And it's impossible for me to rig this roll, folks, because I don't have a horse in the race. Watch it roll a 7, though, just to throw me a real curveball. Here we go. Let's clear it up. Drum roll, please. No, big anticipation. Number 2. So, the winner is Elbendrell. We're going to go with Elbendrell. And, perfect. Okay, so, her reaction. This is sort of a moment where I have to think about, are we going to just go with the where am I as an amnesiac thing? I have to wonder whether or not she's actually concerned that her assailant may return. Is that the first concern? Or is it just simple curiosity as to whether or not, you know, who Amos is? What would be her first thought upon waking? I think she's stoic, so I think we'll go with the assailant. You know, we won't bother with the details. We'll backfill those. You leave. You must leave, she said. Her voice still... her voice brittle. It's not still. We haven't heard her speak yet. Shaking his head. See, Amos is a brave man. He's a pirate, and he's got charisma. He's got a little bit of game. Shaking his head. Amos indicated that he wasn't going anywhere. You're hurt. You're hurt. That much is clear. Yes, I see no wounds. Elbendrell, we don't really know her name yet, so... the woman pushed herself up into a sitting position, cradling her head with 2 pale hands. What came for me does not leave such scars. And I have no interest in confronting that threat again. Amos simply nodded, looking about with a renewed concern as the reality of their situation once again entered his mind. Amos. He introduced himself. Simply. How do you simply reason? Oh. Finally, we get her name, so that we can stop referring to her with a synonym. Elbendrell. She nodded. She replied. Okay, so with Elbendrell, we've got her out there, but now we have to roll a character for her, and this is a fun part as well. She has narcolepsy. Oh, man. Amazing. Did I misspell that? Elbendrell? Elbendrell. Okay, no problem. Yeah, so what we're going to do now is actually use that NPC generator, and what we're going to do is roll up a character for her. And she has a bow, so we can presume that she's either a ranger, a rogue, perhaps a fighter. I think I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm going to ask that question, ranger, rogue, or fighter, and we'll just sort of take a... We'll take a vote on that really quickly if you guys want to put your hat in the ring and let me know what you'd prefer. Or, you know, whoever gets the answer in first. Hope everybody's enjoying the heavy metal. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday. Hope everybody's got plans for the weekend. I know a lot of people have a long weekend. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Okay, ranger, assassin, rogue, rogue. Yeah, okay. Okay, it looks like a pretty heavy leaning on rogue. So, yeah. So we're going to go with rogue, and maybe she can... If she survives, maybe she can express herself as an assassin subtype there. Anyway, so female elf rogue, any alignment? We're going to give her, actually, we're going to make her a little bit a higher level. She's going to be level 2. So. Okay. She got a really weird dex score. Okay. I mean, I'm going to swap her strength and dex scores here, just because it doesn't really make any sense for her to be a rogue with a dex of 9, but I'm going to take her raw stats here. We're going to play with those a little bit there. It's weird that the NPC generator wouldn't automatically... and I know we didn't take Amos's, so I'm actually just gonna, because I remember what they were, I'm just gonna quickly scroll back up and put his in there. He had his strength. Was a +1, dex +1, con +1, int -1, whiz 0, and a charisma +2. Just so we know. And with her, Elbendrell, it's going to be strength of 9. It's actually -1, but it's always good to see a little bit of weakness here and there. Our dex score is going to be 14. So I am going to fudge it a little bit. Just how, you know, when you're the GM, man, you get to make the rolls. On 11, int 11. Wisdom is 16. I'm just reiterating this because I don't want to leave the weird formatting up on the screen there. So she has high wisdom and charisma. It's not necessarily the most important thing for her. Oh, that's bizarre. That's not a big deal. We'll just get rid of that afterwards. So, there's Elbendrell. She's going to be a rogue. That's just our own notes. We'll get rid of that later, since we're working up a rough sheet here. I know, you know, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. All right, so Elbendrell. So we have a de facto party now. That's always excellent. And just as they're recovering, things might get a little bit hasty here. So Amos helped Elbendrell gain her footing, casting a glance down at her broken bow. Pity about the weapon. Looked to be a fine one. It was nothing that cannot be remade given enough time, of which we have little. Let us leave this place before And we'll leave it there. Amos, again, nodded curtly. And Amos has a sword. I mean, we haven't really got there yet, but we're going to describe him. Lifting his sword to the ready and gesturing that they should leave through a slight opening in the tree line. And we'll call that it for the meadow scene. How long have you been on this island? Amos inquired. Good question. And that's actually a good question that we should probably put to a vote. I'm going to leave it really simple here. We're only going to do 3 options. And I'll let you guys suggest them. This actually kind of matters because it could determine her familiarity with the surroundings. And it could also give us an opportunity depending on how long she's been here, whether or not she knows where there's a shelter, whether she's built one, what sort of resources she may have sussed out or not. So I want to leave that to you. We'll see what happens. A century. A century. Okay, I mean that's interesting. It could get really mythical here. Okay, right. A month or 2 was shipwrecked. That would give them a commonality to some degree. That would be interesting. And a week from Keith. Hey Keith, what's up? Welcome to the stream, brother. Alright, and a week. And that's good. It gives you a nice span of time. A week is maybe enough to have a minimal shelter, but not enough to have definitely sussed out most of the island and probably still a little bit nervous about it. So we have 3 options there. I'm going to roll that up. We don't have a 1d3, of course, so that's going to be a manual down here. 2. A month or 2 and was shipwrecked. Okay. We'll say a month. About a month. But it's honestly hard to say. My mind is still loose from its moorings. She's a little bit elevated. I think we're going to give her a little bit more, both from her elven provenance and from her stats here. She has a lot of wisdom. I think she's going to be a little bit more elevated than Amos, who's a simple, filthy pirate. Loose from its moorings. And here, all time blurs together. I do have a place we might call shelter, however. Showing signs of trust. Amos found himself impressed with his new companion. His anxiety constantly battering at the wall of his resolve abated slightly. He felt his shoulders relax, some of the tension he'd felt earlier seeping away. Together with her, with Elbrindell in the lead, the two worked their way through the trees. After about an hour's travel, they emerged near a rocky beach, the surf pounding the stones. White surf pounding stones. We'll leave it there. a large lean-to constructed from driftwood and it's constructed from driftwood and we'll say covered by thick slabs of loam, earth, sod, rested against a clay embankment. About, we'll say, 100 feet from the shoreline. The remnants of a small fire could be seen outside of the shelter, contained within a ring of blackened rocks. Cool. Okay, so they've reached their shelter. However, that's not all they're going to find here. So, a little bit of time for action. I'm going to populate another array. Try and keep these things a little bit modest here, guys, keeping in mind the level of the characters involved. So what sort of creatures can we expect to see picking through the camp? Palm fronds, good suggestion. So I'll go back and yeah, I'll add palm fronds in there. Yeah, so what sort of creatures might be picking through this camp in Elbrendel's absence? Ooh, coyotes. Ooh, giant crab. That's cool. Kobolds. Raise team at. I like it. Coyotes. Also awesome. Here, there's a bounty on those. Bridge troll. We could go with a troll. Now, again, anybody who does play a lot of D&D, these levels, I'm definitely, like in this case of perhaps a giant crab, may not be appropriate, so I'm just going to scale things down a little bit. And we're not going to do firm D&D style rolls, we're just going to do general rolls for performance. Ooh. I see Keith's got brute crabs there. I mean, we kind of got crabs. There could be small crabs. If we get the crab, I'll consider smaller crabs along with it. Rock scorpions and undead. Yep. Rock scorpions. Undead. So we have a giant crab. I'm gonna add with smaller crabs around. Kobolds. Coyotes, a bridge troll, rock scorpions, undead. Let's roll it up. 3 it is. Coyotes. Okay, here we go. A trio of mangy, emaciated looking coyotes. We're seeing aim a saw. Sniffing about the camp. And they, and one of these lifted its angular snout to point directly at the to point directly at them both with a keening, high-pitched howl. A coyote sprang forward, teeth bare. Its companions weren't far behind. A flash of tawny fur and feral hunger. Enter combat. So, basically the way I'm going to do it, we're going to roll it's essentially rough initiative with the D&D roller. We're going to roll for Amos, then we're going to roll for Elbendel. I'm going to keep a rough initiative with their dexterity in mind. So here we go. We're going to roll Amos first. 18 plus 1. Amos rolls an 18 plus 1 for his dex bonus. Elbendel. He's going to roll a 7 plus, I think, 2. Let me just double check that really quickly. Yep. I want to quickly consult D&D Coyote. I just want to see if it's even appropriate to use here. Wild Dog. We call it a Wild Dog. Yeah, we're going to give them a +2. They're a CR 1-8. Yeah, okay, I think we'll be okay. I'll use this stat block mostly. So here we go. We're entering combat. The heavy metal music is hitting hard. So Coyote 1. Coyote Prime, we'll call it. Coyote 2. Part 2. Coyote 3. We're going to call him Trey. We're going to roll initiative for all three real quick. Okay. Coyote 1. How are you doing? 15 plus 2, 17. Pretty good. Coyote 2. 6. That's an 8. 6 plus 2. And Trey, how about you? 20 plus 2. Looks like that, we'll call that the lead coyote, the one that was up front. Faster than Amos could react. The lead coyote rushed forward. Sprang, we'll say sprang. Forward. All teeth and claws. Alright, let's do a little roll here. As the GM again, I reserve the right to make things budget a little bit. 7. I mean, that's not gonna hit. Coyote, in its urgency, failed to judge the distance and flew past the pirate, landing just to his side. Okay, so that's it for Coyote 1. We'll have to have a turn order here. Hilarious. I'm going to go and put it in there. Coyote. Amos. It's Amos's turn. Amos is 100% going to slash at that coyote that just had the tenacity to attack him. Amos raised his sword arm and brought the bright blade down in an arc towards the wild dog. I guess coyote is a wild dog. I guess we'll just say towards the beast. I don't really know enough about that. Hilarious. Biology's not my forte. Alright. How's Amos gonna do here? Amos does poorly. Missing it by a mile. Really, missing it by a wide margin. Gonna pause there and see what we have in chat real quick. Yeah, I mean that bow would be nice, but don't worry. You know, Elbendel, she has things going on too. Yeah, so Coyote 1, same thing, gonna run forward. This time he's gonna attack our elf here. Second coyote came in quickly, attempting to bite Elbrindel's hand. Now I'm not going to roll the whole thing out, but we're going to do a couple rounds here just to see where it went. 5 is not going to do it either. But she was too fast and pulled it back in the nick of time. Elbindrel, she's going to attempt to take her own dagger free and actually stab one of the coyotes, and she critically fails. In response, Elbindrel readied her dagger. Readied a dagger. She pulled free from her cloak, but failed to find the flesh of her attacker. And then finally, Coyote 2, part 2. And he does succeed. The third coyote was much more fortunate, springing forward and managing to claw Brindel's leg. And we're going to roll 1d4 on that for 4 damage. Biting through the supple leather to find to draw blood. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's basically hilarious. The dice must be cursed or something, because it's actually quite savage how poorly this is going for our characters. But nonetheless, we're going to have another round, and we're going to kick that off with Coyote 3. Let's see what Coyote 3's got. Going to attack Amos, and failing miserably. I'm just going to skip that. I'm not going to write out the whole sequence here, because if I do, it'll be like miss, hit, miss, hit. So we'll skip that. Amos, though, manages to do his thing here, and he does roll a 12. Amos, seeing his companion take a companion's leg ensnared by the coyote, once again sliced at the beast in front of him, catching it straight between the eyes. Blade a bit deep, cutting through skin and skull, and the coyote fell with a whimper. So that's going to be Coyote 3 is X'd out. Coyote 1 is going to attack Amos. That's a 12. Gonna say yes. Amos doesn't have... no, actually. No, Amos only has a +1 dex, and he doesn't have armor right now, so that will hit him. Not to be outdone. The smallest coyote, one with a black streak running down its back, attempted to jump towards Amos' extended arm, grabbing his wrist in a bite. Amos cursed in pain, but did not drop his weapon, knowing that could be a fatal mistake. Alright, and then we're going to go back to Elbendrell and hope that she actually, the dice gods are with her this time around. And they are not. Elbendrell. Elbendrell, racked with pain and still finding herself lightheaded from previous attack, stabbed wildly at the mutt, gripping her leg, but to no avail. And we're going to go with the last coyote here. Total failure. We're going to go with Amos again. Amos rolls a 19. Totally focused on the job at hand. Amos wrenched his wrist free from the small coyote, turning the sword around and jabbing it earthward, piercing the ribcage of the coyote and pinning it to the ground. That's the end of Coyote Dos. Oh, Coyote 1. Uno. And we'll see if Elbendrell can finally clue up this combat with her own roll. She's got 3 rolls here. Ah, yeah. Well done. Well done. Inspired by Amos's bravery and feeling feeling the threat. No, feel inspired by Amos's bravery. We'll leave it there. The elf steadied herself, took short breath, and then, faster than the eye might see, drove the slim steel dagger deep into the eye socket of the last coyote. It was done. Breathing heavily and raggedly, Amos and Elbendrell looked at one another, having survived their first battle together. Very cool, very cool. Sorry about Coyote Prime. I mean, it was their fate. It's just the way it was going to pan out. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. I mean, the stream's been going on for about an hour. That's actually longer than I had initially anticipated. Hopefully everybody had a good time with it. I really enjoyed the luck is high with these trash mobs. I really enjoyed the chat. I'm glad everybody was having fun with it. The whole purpose of this, like I said, is for people to get together and sort of tell a story together. And I think we've done that. So again, thanks to everybody. If there's anything you want to leave in chat there for me, I'm going to just take a few minutes and sort of go back and clean up the document. We're going to put that in Google Docs. Eventually, I might tweak things here and there and clean other errors up, and then eventually we'll see about posting this sort of as a blog on a website. It may go on Royal Road, I'm not sure, but this is just sort of an ongoing project. I'll let you know one thing. I will be headed to Nova Scotia shortly. I'm not sure. There's supposed to be a hurricane on Wednesday. That's when I'm supposed to depart, so we won't be doing this for a little while, but I'm looking to try and make this maybe a bi-weekly or tri-weekly thing, semi-regularly on the weekend. It seems that's when most people are free, we're going to do this, like I said, maybe about an hour like we did today. I didn't honestly anticipate it going this long. I didn't anticipate us having as much interest. I really appreciate everybody coming in and showing up. It's a lot of fun to tell stories together. We're having a lot of fun in chat, and that's much appreciated. Like I say, if you have anything you want to leave in there, you go right ahead. I'm going to go in there and quickly clean up some of the material in here. But I am going to leave the prompts because I think it's really important to leave those in for now. Just to see, like, which way it could have went. That's half the fun, is looking at the road not traveled and sort of seeing what may have happened there. It's a lot of fun. And the suggestions were great. I really enjoyed the writing aspect of it, you know, throwing things at me, seeing where it goes. I'm really sad about Coyote Prime, but that's just the way it had to be. They were kind of getting into trouble when they attacked the mighty Sailor Amos and the lovely rogue Elbrindel. I'm going to get that name eventually, Chris, I swear. I swear. Alrighty. So... yeah, exactly. Like I say with Dave, good book. I know it wasn't a bear. But much appreciated. And we'll get back to this, like I say, probably sometime in mid-August, and then from there we'll have a more regular schedule. And whether or not you can make, that's great. I mean, I'll try to keep some stuff in the Facebook group in terms of like some prompts that we'll throw in between sessions, just so we can sort of play around even in between sessions and people can stretch their imagination, because again, that's what this is all about. Hopefully this gets the creative juices flowing, not just for me, but for all of you. I know so many of you have your own projects that you love working on, and whether it's a passion project, whether it's business, a lot of you are really creative people, and this is what this is all about. Positivity, creativity, working together. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time, folks. It's been great.